It is now almost 2 months since the people of this country began to put up with restrictions on their freedom, your freedom, of a kind that we have never seen before in peace or war. And you have shown the good sense to support those rules overwhelmingly. You've put up with all the hardships of that program of social distancing because you understand that as things stand, and as the experience of every other country has shown, it's the only way to defeat the coronavirus, the most vicious threat this country has faced in my lifetime.
Oh my. I don't even know where to start. Okay. I'm going to say this. It sounds to me, this is what it sounded like to me. It sounded like he was saying, you've done a really good job at maintaining your grounding. We grounded you in trouble. And you've done such a good job that we're going to lift a little bit. It's almost like when you're in jail or in some kind of, good behavior, right? You get to now, work in the laundromat because you have good behavior, right? A slave. If you're a good slave and you have good behavior, we'll take the shackles off now. You've earned it. That's what it feels like. You're still a slave, but now you don't have the shackles on your feet, right? Interesting.
Of that program of social distancing, because you understand that as things stand, and as the experience of every other country has shown, it's the only way to defeat.
Is that the only way to defeat it? Is it social distancing? That's the only way? Well, then why are you telling me I need a shot then? If the only way is to just avoid each other, well, then it doesn't seem like I need any of this other stuff. I'm just asking.
The coronavirus, the most vicious threat this country has faced in my lifetime. And though the death toll has been tragic.
Has it really been tragic? Has it? I still don't know.
And the suffering immense. And though we grieve for all those we have lost.
Okay, first of all, he's going to have to say these things. He doesn't grieve for a fucking person. Okay, doesn't give a fuck. He lacks empathy. All of them do. They have all no sense of empathy whatsoever, which means that no, he is not grieving along with you. He does not care about you. You should understand that. None of these people do. None of them care about you. I know it's hard to swallow. I know. But it is very true. They don't give 5 shits about me, and they don't give 5 shits about you. So there's your poetry for the day. Continue, Boris.
It is a fact that by adopting those measures, we prevented this country from being engulfed by what could have been a catastrophe in which the reasonable worst-case scenario was 500,000 fatalities.
Oh my God! Thank you, Boris. You've saved us from a potential catastrophe. Oh, there is another potential catastrophe that's coming my way, and it is all of my rights are going to be taken away. Do you have something to say about that? Have you thought about that potential catastrophe? No? Okay.
And it's thanks to your effort and sacrifice in stopping the spread of this disease that the death rate is coming down and hospital admissions are coming down.
And first of all, I did like him until he started brushing his hair. He's changed, right? He's changed. He used to have the funny hair, and I thought, this guy's cool. He's down to earth. It was all an act. It was part of his show to make him look like he was part of the people. Kind of like the United States did with, I don't know, all of our presidents. We had one that played a saxophone and one that was a good old cowboy. One that was a famous American actor. Come on. I'm playing a role, but now my hair needs to be slick back, slick lick Rick.
And thanks to you.
Oh, a snap! Thanks to you with a snap. Subliminal much?
We've protected our NHS and saved many thousands of lives.
And saved maybe thousands of lives. Nearly that. I don't even know what the fuck he said. Doesn't matter. It's all a potential. It's all what could have been. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Meanwhile.
So I know, you know, that it would be madness now to throw away that achievement by allowing a second spike.
Oh! It would be madness now. So that means that everyone must continue social distancing. It would be madness for us to all come together. It would be crazy. If you haven't learned your lesson yet. I can't let you out of your room. You have not quite learned your lesson. You know what your lesson is? We control you. We own you. You belong to us. As soon as you get that, then we'll all let you out. Until then, nope, sorry.
We must stay alert. We must continue to control the virus and save lives.
Control the people and save the virus for the next go around, the fall.
And yet we must also recognize that this campaign against the virus has come at colossal cost to our way of life.
What colossal cost exactly? What are you talking about? Colossal cost. Are you talking about the amount of money that businesses are losing? Is that colossal? Are you talking about the people who died? Is that colossal? Are you talking about the amount of rights that are being stripped from us as we speak? Is that colossal? Which of these colossal? What's so colossal? Because the definition of colossal to me is cosmic colossal. It's so fucking huge. It's just ridiculous. And so I'm not seeing any of these other things. These are other things. They're stuff that happens all the time. Businesses lose money. People die. That happens all the time. So the only thing that I can think of that's truly colossal here is what you're doing to us citizens of the world right now. Shame on you.
We can see it all around us in the shuttered shops and abandoned businesses and darkened pubs and restaurants. And
those darkened pubs. This is a script. Do you hear the words he's using? Oh my God, that's a script. That is a script. Somebody wrote it for him and he's reading it. And they're not even good anymore. They're not even good writers. Because they all just have little, 6 months degrees or something they took for writing. I don't even know the fuck. But that sounds just like something I would have seen in a movie back in the 1970s. Poorly written. 1950s. Excellent ideas, poorly written. Not many things were that great. Well, this is a story that sucks. This is a really bad script, bad writers. You guys are horrible. You should be fired. It's like in the X-Files when they had that 1 or 2 seasons that it totally fucking sucked because the writers were off. Same thing happens to Saturday Night Live and Buffy.
There are millions of people who are both fearful of this terrible disease and at the same time also fearful of what this long period of enforced inactivity will do to their livelihoods and their mental and physical well-being, to their futures.
Their mental and physical well-beings. That's okay. If you're having physical and mental well-being issues, let me know. Because they have text hotlines you can call.
And the futures of their children. So I want to provide tonight for you the shape of a plan to address both fears.
He's like fucking Shakespeare. I feel like I'm listening to express the both fears. I don't know. This is it's so acting, so beyond acting. Am I the only one that thinks that?
Both to beat the virus and provide the first sketch of a roadmap for reopening society. A sense of the way ahead, and when and how and on what basis we will...
What the fuck is that? On what basis? What the... Is he a robot? Please tell me that he's just a robot, right? But nobody, he really, I've never heard, maybe he did talk this way.
We will take the decisions to proceed. I'll be setting out more details in Parliament tomorrow
I bet you
and
will.
taking questions from the public in the evening.
I'm sure you will.
I've consulted across the political spectrum, across all 4 nations of the UK. And though different parts of the country are experiencing the pandemic at different rates, and though it's right to be flexible in our response, I believe that as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Scotland, England, Wales, Northern Ireland, there is a strong resolve to defeat this together.
Is there? Is there? Wow. Okay. Sure.
And today, a general consensus on what we could do.
Could do.
And I stress could,
He stresses it.
because although we have a plan, it is a conditional plan.
A conditional.
And since our priority is to protect the public and save lives,
Is it?
we cannot move forward unless we satisfy the 5 tests.
The 5 tests. Yes! What are, do tell, what are the 5 tests that we must satisfy?
We must protect our NHS. We must see sustained falls in the death rate. We must see sustained and considerable
These are
falls
tests.
in the rate of infection. We must sort out our challenges in getting enough PPE to the people who need it. And yes, it's a global problem, but we must fix it. And last, we must make sure that any...
Okay, I'm going to stop this here. He used the word test. He said we need to pass this test before we can graduate and get to go outside and play again. That sounds like I'm being in school. Yeah, I'm a kid. Here's the tests. There's 5 questions. The first question is that we need to have sufficient critical care capacity across the UK. Translation, we need to have enough room for every single person that potentially could get sick. That means, oh my, we've got a lot of work to do. So now we can delay it 1 more week because we don't have all the cots laid out yet. 2, we have to, your next test is you need to be sustained and consistent in the fall of the daily deaths. In other words, stop dying. Quit doing it. And until we all quit dying, we'll pass question number 2. Our third question is we have to get the rate of the infection decreasing. Stop getting sick. Don't get sick anymore. You can't get sick if you're not around people. Can't die if you don't get sick. And if you get sick, we got to have enough room for you. Do you see how they go up, right? Each one is a dot to the next, to the next, to the next. But they're going in the opposite order, it seems. I don't know. Testing and PPE able to meet demand. In other words, we have to have enough tests for everybody because guess what? You're not going to get to leave the UK or visit the UK unless there's a test for you. What are they testing me for? Corona. Are you? Are you testing me for corona? How the fuck would I even know? In order to get on a plane, I got to let you swab my mouth. And I have no fucking idea what you're going to do with it, but I do know what you can do with it. You can find out my country of origin. You can find out my history. You can find out who I'm related to. You can find out what kind of person I am. You can find out if I'm a narcissist, if I'm a serial cheater, if possibly I'm a schizophrenic. Maybe I have some genetic disorder that you don't like. Or if I've thought of it, they've thought of it. You have the same kidney. You're a perfect candidate for a kidney for somebody who's on their 6th kidney transplants, one of the 1%ers. You never know, you might be losing a kidney. You don't even know it yet. Anyway, 5, the last one. So they have to have enough tests. So now there are adjustments to measure. Will not risk a second peak. They're not going to risk it. They're not going to take a chance. It didn't work this time, but they're not going to take a chance. Not enough people died this time, but let's not take a chance. I'm not buying these numbers. I think it's all a bunch of crap. I'm not saying people aren't dying, but geez.
Any measures we take do not force the reproduction rate of the disease, the R, back up over 1, so that we have the kind of exponential growth we were facing.
But they can just alter that and make it say whatever they want, can't they? How do we know? We already have doctors saying that it's not as bad as they say, so who's telling the truth here? Which one of them is lying? Well, which one of them has a history of lying? That's how we have to look at it. Is it the doctor who just gets on Facebook and goes, hey man, this is fucked up? Or is it the politician who makes a living off of being a fucking what?
A few weeks ago. And to chart our progress and to avoid going back to square one, we're establishing a new COVID alert system.
Of course we are.
By a new joint biosecurity center.
Of course it is. Listen to that. He said a new COVID alert system started by a new business. Oh, now I get it. Somebody needed some money, so somebody got their brothers, their nephew a job as the new COVID alert level CEO. I see how this works. Okay, continue.
And that COVID alert level will be determined primarily by R and the number of coronavirus cases, and in turn, that COVID alert level will tell us how tough we have to be in our social distancing measures.
Oh, 6 feet, 8 feet, 12 feet, a big bunch.
Measures. The lower the level.
Come, Mr. Tally Man, tally my corona daylight. That's how I feel like 6 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet. Distance. La, la, la. Good Lord.
With the measures, the higher the level, the tougher.
I mean, do you see this? Do you recognize why they're using? Have you ever seen charts like this in your life? Let me keep going, because the next one's really going to blow your mind.
The higher the level, the tougher and stricter we will have to do.
Video games.
5 alert levels.
There it is.
Level 1.
There it is. You know what this looks like? A behavioral chart.
Means the disease is no longer...
Ooh, we had this at 9/11 too. It was called our terrorist warning chart. We have this on tornadoes, hurricanes,
if the NHS have been overwhelmed.
Storms.
Over the period of the lockdown.
But do you notice the charts they're giving you? Do you see what all these charts, even the ones for those? Come on.
We've been in level 4, and it's thanks to...
If they took that and put smiley faces on it, it would be a chart from your teachers at school is what that would be. All right, I'll shut up. I want to hear this.
In a position to begin to move in steps to level 3. And as we go, everyone will have a role to play in keeping the R down by...
Where do we get the leave?
Staying alert and following the rules, and to keep pushing the number of...
Follow the rules! Did you hear the verbiage? Follow the rules. When was the last time an adult told you to follow the rules? Anybody? Bueller?
Infections down, there are 2 more things we must do. We must reverse rapidly the awful epidemics in care homes and in the NHS, and though the numbers are coming down sharply now, there is plainly much more to be done. And if we're to control this virus, then we must have a world-beating system for testing potential victims and for...
Why are you calling them potential victims? Do you find that language weird? A potential victim. Not a potential patient or a potential infected person. He used the word victim. That's what I mean by they're not even trying to fool us anymore.
Tracing their contacts, so that all
And
told,
tracing the
we're
contacts.
testing literally hundreds of thousands of people.
So in other words, we need a test for every single person in the entire world. And in the UK, we're not going to do anything until they're not going to let anyone else into the UK either. And it's not the UK, every country is doing this.
We've made fast progress on testing, but there is so much more to do now, and we can. When this began, we hadn't seen this disease before, and we didn't fully understand its effects. With every day, we're getting more and more data. We're shining the light of science on this invisible killer, and we will pick it up where it strikes.
That is such bizarre language. To describe that in such a way, I don't know, but that just sits odd with me. And I have to think about this language thing, because I find a lot of the words he uses to be very telling, because they hit me off. They're not things that you normally hear. Maybe it's the UK, so maybe that's even more important that I'm hearing it. Maybe it's just the way you talk that's making me hear it in a different way than it's the way we talk. Maybe that's part of learning from different people that we need to do. Because when I hear him say it, holy shit balls. Why are you saying things like victim and tests and...
Because our new system will be able in time to detect local flare-ups in your area, as well as giving us a national picture.
There's that
And yet,
rainbow again.
when I look at where we are tonight, we have the R below 1, between 0.5 and 0.9, but potentially only just below 1. And though we have made progress in satisfying at least some of the conditions I have given, we have by no means fulfilled all of them. And
You're not done yet, kids. Sorry. Still got some more time to go. You haven't quite learned your lesson. You haven't learned who's in charge yet. Stop protesting. The quicker you guys do what we say and follow the rules, the sooner we'll let you out. That's the same thing I said to my kid just a few minutes ago. The louder you are, the longer we'll stand here. If that doesn't turn your stomach, I just fucking said that to her. And now I'm hearing him say it to me. I don't like it, but I'm also not for, right? So there's that. I've already heard this before. Lord have mercy.
so, no, this is not the time simply to end the lockdown this week.
Nope.
Instead, we're taking the first careful steps to modify our measures.
Don't leave the cabin, man. It's still out there. It's still out there, I promise. The werewolf is still out there. Stay in here with me. Don't go out there. Our horror movies have taught us. And then somebody goes out there and see, and they get their face eaten off by a werewolf. I told you, man. So what do you do here? Do you follow what you've been told? Or do you listen for your gut? Because every once in a while in the movies, somebody gets away.
And the first step is a change of emphasis that we hope that people will act on this week. We said that you should work from home if you can, and only go to work if you must. We now need to stress that anyone who can't work from home, for instance, those in construction or manufacturing, should be actively encouraged to go to work, and we want it to be safe for you to get to work.
You know what I hear? Oh, you can go back to work. But because we have these 5 steps and 5 tests, we're going to start implementing them. So now we forced you all to go home. You're desperate to get out. You're desperate to go back to work. You're desperate to start earning some money. You don't want to lose things. You're at the breaking point. Most of us are. A lot of us have already reached it, but the majority of people they're starting to feel it. So they're going to say, go to work. And what happens when you go to work? You're going to have to be tested. You're going to have to be monitored. They're now putting apps on your phone so that if you leave work and you have a temperature, They can follow you to make sure you go straight to your house. That's not science fiction. That's happening. So are we going back to work because the government says, okay, guys, yeah? Or is this part of the plan? They knew that we'd want to go back to work. They're letting us go back at just the right time. I'm going to remind you that blacks didn't get to right to vote until their right to vote was needed. Women didn't have the right to vote until their right to vote was needed. We will not go back to work and about our daily lives until they need us to. And so this is it. They need you to, because they're going to start hard cattling you and tagging your ear like cattle through DNA swabs and apps on your phone and chips in your hand.
So you should avoid public transport if at all possible, because we must and will maintain social distancing, and capacity will therefore be limited. So,
avoid. That's an interesting thing that he tells you to avoid. Mass transit. Not that the idea isn't right, but again, I have to think about they knew this was going to happen. They've already planned for this, whether it's from a bat or not from a bat. They've been preparing for this day of a pandemic. We know it because they just did a run through. So why do they want to get rid of these types of things? Let's look and pay attention to the things that they're removing from our lives right now that may not come back in the way that we're used to them. And public transport seems like something that is getting removed from me for a reason.
work from home if you can, but you should go to work if you can't work from home. And to ensure you are safe at work, we've been working to establish new guidance for employers to make workplaces COVID secure. And when you do go to work, if possible, do so by car, or even better, by walking or bicycle. But just as with workplaces, public transport operators will also be following COVID secure standards. And from this Wednesday, we want to encourage people to take more and even unlimited amounts of outdoor exercise. You can sit in the sun in your local park, you can drive to other destinations, you can even play sports, only with members of your own household. You must obey.
You can play sports, but only with members of your own household. So you can go outside and play ball, but only with your little brother. Oh, Lord. My little brother's annoying as fuck, man. I'm going back. I gotta hear this nonsense again. Hang on.
It's about outdoor exercise. You can sit in the sun in your local park, you can drive to other destinations, you can even play sports, only with members of your own household. You must obey the rules on social distancing, and to enforce those rules, we will increase the fines.
Oh, and to enforce them. Oh, so it's not my choice. It isn't my choice to obey them. I must obey them or pay the consequences. What might those consequences be, Mr. Boris Johnson? Oh, I know. Tickets and fines and fees.
For the small minority who break them. And so, every day, with ever-increasing data, we will be monitoring the R and the number of new infections and the progress we are making. And if we as a nation begin to fulfill the conditions I have set out, then...
I don't like that he said, I have set out. Earlier in this thing, he said that he had consulted with all these people, and this is what they decided, and then suddenly the verbiage changed, and he said, if you do all these things that I set out. Let me make sure I heard that correctly, because that sounded a little strange to me as well. It caught my attention. Normally, in a speech like this, we would use the words our, we're, not I and me. That's different. This is different than what we hear in the past coming from our leaders. This is narcissistic. This is Stalinism. This is Hitlerism. This is China dynastyism. You know what I mean. I don't know what they're called over there.
And if we as a nation begin to fulfill the conditions I have set out.
Did you hear that? If we as a nation begin to fulfill that I set out. He said, That's weird. That I set out. I don't know. Find that to be an interesting slippage, if that's what it is. Freudian slip, possibly, maybe. I'm not saying that Boris Johnson is running the show. I'm saying he's a narcissist. And he's so fucking fooled he doesn't even realize that he is slipping. And his mask or reptilian face or whatever the fuck, his little eyes just slitted is what happened right there. That's why they're called Freudian slips. Freudian, the father of the ego. Ha, really? Mm-hmm, yeah.
Then in the next few weeks and months, we may be able to go further. In step 2, at the earliest by June the 1st, after half term, we believe we may be in a position to begin the phased reopening of shops and to get primary pupils back into schools.
Okay, so by June, you'll be able to go to the store again and your kids will be able to go to the school. That is a weapon for disaster if we're talking about a pandemic. Stores opening and going to schools. Well, if you're doing those things, then it kind of sounds to me like it's not that big of a deal now. I don't know why we need any more steps. That's only step 2. What else is there after that?
In stages, beginning with reception, year 1 and year 6.
Year 1 and year 6? Is that what he said? I need to check that out. Is that what he said?
Position to begin the phased reopening of shops and to get primary pupils back into schools. In stages, beginning with reception, year 1 and year 6. Our ambition is that secondary pupils facing exams next year will get at least some time with their teachers before the holidays, and we'll shortly be setting out detailed guidance on how to make it work in schools and shops and on transport. And step 3, at the earliest by July and subject to all these conditions and further scientific advice, if and only if the numbers support it, we will hope to reopen at least some of the hospitality industry and other public places.
What does that mean, reopen some? Now we're talking into June, July, right? And in July they're going to open some. Let me guess which some they're going to open. I don't know. Let me predict. The corporate some. Fair enough? Okay.
Provided they're safe and enforce
That's so strange.
social distancing. Throughout this period of the next 2 months, we will be driven not by mere hope or economic necessity. We're going to be driven by the science, the data, and public health. And I must stress again that all of this is conditional. It all depends on a series of big ifs. It depends on all of us, the entire country, to follow the advice, to observe social distancing, and to keep that R down.
To follow advice, practice social distancing, and don't get sick. Do what I say, stay away from each other, and don't die. Okay, I'll try to do all of those things. Next.
And to prevent reinfection from abroad, I'm serving notice that it will soon be the time, with transmission significantly lower, to impose quarantine on people coming into this country by air. And it's because of your efforts to get the R down and the number of infections down here that this measure will now be effective. And of course...
Oh my God, that means that if you guys follow all the rules in the UK and do everything that Boris Johnson has just told you and not make one single fuck up mistake, Joni Rotten gets to come to the UK. Woo-hoo! Okay, continue, Boris.
We'll be monitoring our progress locally, regionally, and nationally. And if there are outbreaks, if there are problems...
Of course there will be.
We will not hesitate.
There will be. He's telling you that's if meant there will be problems, and here's what we're going to do when they happen, or when we want them to happen, because we are capable of making the problems at any moment. You can be locked back up in your room, so you better not make a peep when you're downstairs.
We will not hesitate to put on the brakes. We've been through the initial peak, but it's coming down the mountain that is often more dangerous.
Is it?
We have a route and we have a plan. And everyone in government has the all-consuming pressure and challenge to save lives.
All the people in government have a pressing to save lives. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about me. They don't give a fuck about us.
Restore livelihoods and gradually restore the freedoms that we need.
Oh, we get to restore our freedoms. They're going to be restored. The kingdom will be restored. Okay. Sure. Are our rights going to be restored? Somehow I don't buy that. Somehow I'm just not believing that. As if they had the right to take them from us in the first place. But they're going to give them back. Don't worry, guys. There's still hope in the bottom of this jar. We haven't let out everything in Pandora's jar. There's still hope in here. A little bit. That's fuckery. Okay.
But in the end, this is a plan that everyone must make work. And when I look at what you've done already, the patience and common sense you've shown.
Good for you. You guys have shown patience and common sense. This is language that we use to people when we want to control them. We give them high fives and attaboys, right? We give them gold stars. If you want to discipline a child, if you want a child to behave in the way you want, you have two options. You can either control them by violence or control them by flattery. Attaboys. You reward the positive behavior and punish the negative behavior. And so that's what they're doing. So those of you that respond to punishments, well, you're going to pay fines. And those of you that respond to compliments, well, good for you. You're doing the right thing to save lives. You're saving lives. Good for you.
The fortitude of the elderly, whose isolation we all want to end as fast as we can.
Yeah, because you know what isolation does to you.
The incredible bravery and hard work of our NHS staff, our care workers, the devotion and self-sacrifice of all those in every walk of life who are helping us to beat this disease.
The self-sacrifice to beat this disease, and as I say beat this disease, cue beat the table.
Police, bus drivers, train drivers, pharmacists, supermarket workers, road hauliers, bin collectors, cleaners, security guards, postal workers, our teachers.
Oh, fuck me. Did you hear that list? Did you hear that list? All you middle-class workers, all of you workers that do for the average day people, congratulations on you. You are needed, loved. We appreciate you as a country. No, they don't. They fucking don't give a shit about you. They just took all your rights away, but they're going to tell you they do. Hey, thanks. Thanks for all you do and all of your sacrifice that you're making. Thanks for sacrificing. God, I heard this from my ex-husband. I appreciate you sacrificing your degree so that I could finish. What? It's all a big lie, people.
And 1,000 more. The scientists who are working round
Don't forget the scientists, by the way. They work around the clock to find the cure.
the clock to find a vaccine.
Oh,
Right?
no, not the cure. Not the cure. He didn't even say that. He's that is how much the illusion is over, people. There it is. He didn't even say our medical staff is working around the clock to find the cure. He said to find the vaccine. Well, you've heard it here first. You've heard it here first, folks. Unfucking believable what this man is just saying to me. Holy shit balls. Can you get any more obvious? I kind of liked when I was being lied to. I don't know about you, but did you? This is really kind of irritating me. I'm just saying. You know, I liked when you at least had some glitter and you threw stuff up in the air to distract me. Where you had a cute little rose on your collar that squirted me in the eye with invisible ink. Oh, you know? That was a lot more fun than just saying, hey, I'm about to steal your watch. Okay.
When I think of the millions of everyday acts of kindness and thoughtfulness
Pay it forward.
that are being performed across this country and that have helped to get us through this first phase, I know that we can use this plan to get us through the next. And if we can't do it by those dates, and if the alert level won't allow it, we will simply wait and go on until we've got it right. We will come back from this devilish illness. We will come...
This devilish illness, and we'll keep trying until we get it right. That tells me that we're going to look at this illness as if it is some type of demon and must be exorcised. In other words, we must eradicate it. Get your shot. And then we're not going to stop until we get this right. That means that they're going to continue to have several false flags. Oh my God, I said the F word. Before they don't have any false flags. I'm just saying that's what it sounds like to me. We're going to just keep practicing.
We will come back to health and robust health. And though the UK will be changed by this experience, I believe we can be stronger and better than ever before, more resilient, more innovative, more economically dynamic, but also more generous and more sharing.
I don't know. Actually, now that I hear that again, it sounds kind of like what I was listening to when we were talking about leaving the EU. The same language that was used back then. It sounds like he's saying to me now.
But for now, we must stay alert, control the virus, and save lives. Thank you very much.
What a load of shit.